All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Millennial Trades. It's December 21st, 2022. Christmas is right around the corner. So far, Santa has kind of come through, but the week is not over yet. So much I want to get into in this video. I hope you guys are having a good day. I took a small loss, almost $400 today. So I went for a long run, had to shake that off mentally and psychologically. I feel great though. I was running for like over an hour. I'm going to try to do this video really quickly. I've got choir practice today. We're practicing carols for Christmas Eve service. So I got a lot going on. I'm glad that I kept the loss minimal because I was fluctuating between about $600 down on the day and maybe $300 down on the day. I took like almost $400 down on the day. So it is what it is. I kind of overtraded. I want to get into all of this, but the markets did rally. We had the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both up. NASDAQ up like 1.4, the futures. S&P 500 like 1.4 as well. So, not huge moves, but definitely a green day. The stock I was trading was Amazon, and everything was kind of dipping in the morning. Well, the stocks that I was following, the indexes weren't dipping. The indexes rallied almost from the beginning, which made me fairly confident about going long on Amazon at one point in time. And we just kept breaking out, and then it come right back down. It was extremely frustrating. And the dollar, if you watch the dollar's price action today, this is what was killing the trade, right? Or at least killing my trade. The dollar, came down in the morning, then started rallying, but the market was like rallying against the dollar, or with the dollar, I should say. And then the dollar just kept kind of chopping around and made another high, made, brand new high, like, I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock. So it was frustrating to see the dollar moving in this way because it was killing my trade. I kind of overtraded, right? I was up on my first trade. I had the account over $11,000. I wish I had taken a screenshot of it. And so that was to the short side. I should have, just walked away at that point. But I tried to go short again. It did not work out. You guys can watch this all on my stories, on my reels on Instagram. The second short didn't work out. It popped back up. I got killed on that one. So I went long on Amazon, took a third trade. Probably shouldn't have, but I was down like a lot. I was down like $800. So I was like, well, I got to try to get some of that back. The long trade went well. I mean, the third trade was a green trade, but overall on the day I lost $390, right? Probably about $350. Then you factor in all the 60-cent fees in and out to trade. So it was $390, I think, is where my account is at. Or how much that it's down. That's only like, I think it was like less than 4%, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can see it all in my reels. And follow me on Instagram at Millennial Trades if you guys want to see these trades. I actually did some live video today of the trade. I don't want to ramble too much about it, but I'm glad that I kept the loss small. I still have well over $10,000 in the account. Probably time to make deposits because it is close to the end of the year. I'm considering bringing my account back down to maybe like 6,000. I do feel like having so much money, it's allowed me to overtrade a little bit or to put on positions that are a little bit bigger. And I don't want to get bitten in the ass just a week or two away from the end of the year because we're up on the week, we're up on the month, we're up on the year. It's a blessing. It's a blessing from God because all gifts, of course, come from God above. We have to remember that. And God has just shown me so much grace. But that being said, markets are about to close. It's 3:51 right now, so I was a little bit early. Glad I did sell those contracts, though, because they're under where I had what I had sold them for just a few hours ago. But yeah, stayed in the markets a little bit too long, and I got bit. We'll just have to see where this goes. The Santa Claus rally, do you guys believe it? Is it going to come through, or are we just going to get completely demolished? We did have Canada's inflation number. I think it was their CPI came out lower, but slowing less than expected, right? Still lower, but less than the expectations. Canada's annual inflation rate was at 6.8% in November 2022. The least since April, easing slightly from 6.9. but 6.8 is still that's still very high. I mean, inflation obviously is under control, and we're going to talk about this article from The Hill that I found. I don't know if that was affecting the markets. We have the PCE, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, coming out on Friday. Again, that could be an anticipatory trade if you thought that was going to go well and the market's reaction to it would go well. I suppose you could take on that trade Thursday night, hoping for something the next day, because I think the PCE data will come out in the morning. But, Canada is still up there. We keep hearing this idea that the inflation rate has peaked, that it's going to start climbing down now. And maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe inflation is still going to be an issue, especially with the food inflation. That's really where it counts. A lot of, you could see maybe a scenario where food inflation continues to rise, but maybe things like asset stocks, housing, maybe some of that stuff comes down. There's so many ways that this could play out. Nothing is impossible. That's why when I was watching the dollar today, I was watching the dollar rally and the stocks rally, and it usually doesn't happen. Like, or at least it hasn't recently. But it's like you got to be ready for the impossible. There could be a day where stocks rally big and the dollar rallies big. There's nothing scientifically stopping that from happening. Bonds as well are still kind of taking a hit. They're up right now. The TLT is up 0.19%, but the bond market doesn't look good. We had that big sell-off yesterday. I don't think I talked much about it. But when the bonds are selling off like that, it doesn't really do us any favors in the stock market, if we're long. We also had the news from Japan yesterday, right? It was the biggest day for the Japanese yen in 24 years. And I did a little bit more research into curve control, where they're basically, if the rates on the bonds go too far one way or the other, negative or positive, then they can step in and either buy or sell these bonds. That's what the Central Bank of Japan essentially is doing. So, it's real complicated, but Japan has been trying to beat inflation for a very long time. Some people kind of speculate that the Bank of Japan's announcement yesterday, was just another sort of act in this clown world that is the central bank system. I'm not making that accusation, but that's what some of the commentators that I have been watching have said. When it comes to fighting inflation, right? The Hill put out this article. All right, who is this by, actually? By Liz Peek, opinion contributor. But I have heard this from other people. So she says, here's a prediction. 6 months from now, we will be in a recession and unemployment will be rising. By the third quarter of 2023, Jerome Powell will announce that 2% is no longer a viable inflation target and that 3 or 4% is a more reasonable goal. I mean, can you imagine? When will he abandon his often repeated 2% guidepost? And remember, it's a 2% over time, meaning a 2% average inflation rate. The pressure on Powell to tee up Biden's re-election in 2024 will be immense. He has already shown himself vulnerable to political influence. The only possible explanation for not raising rates faster as inflation took root in 2021 is that he wanted to be reappointed to the prestigious Fed post and knew Biden wanted a dove in charge. Obviously it's all opinion. But there's a certain narrative there that I think, as a trader, I at least have to look at. It's kind of like with the narrative about, the Fed controls everything, or the central banks control everything, and everything they say is true. Reading between the lines on this stuff has been much more beneficial to try to figure out what's going on, because it's possible that the Fed does sort of front run with critical threats. They say things to try to manipulate the markets into doing something, and they have no intention of actually doing what they say they're going to do. That's a possibility. It's also a possibility that they don't really have that much influence over the markets. Who really knows? Is there any way to tell? The bonds are just not agreeing with the rhetoric from Powell, through the yield curve inversion. everything's pointing to this economic recession that's already here. Are we already in one? A lot of people think we are. Again, there's no way to really tell, but things seem to have slowed down a little bit, and the Fed continues to tell us that things are in good shape, better shape than they should be, and that they need to continue raising rates. So do they actually mean that? I don't think they meet until February. I don't even think there's an FOMC meeting until like February. So we have a little bit of time before the Fed is really going to say anything or do anything that's going to, I mean, they'll have their Fed ghouls come out from the different banks, the Bullards, Brainards, all these people. They'll be making statements probably over the holiday season and the New Year's season. But is Powell going to raise the inflation over time target, right? The 2%, could he raise it to 3%? Another thing that I thought was really interesting, they always talk about wage inflation, right? The wages are not going up fast enough to beat the inflation. But then Powell starts talking about, we can't have wages go up too much, right? We got to get the wage inflation down. So you're not going to win. None of us are going to win playing that game. And I realized that. I realized that especially over the last, couple of years when I was working. And working a pretty it wasn't the worst job in the world, but it was like lifting boxes and driving a forklift. It sucked. 60 hours a week. Oh man, you got to be kidding me. But I did it. I did it because I had to. I did it because I saw a vision for something else later on. So I sucked it up, did it, built some capital up, and I started trading and investing and all that and getting back into that again. European stocks rebounded as well. So lately, it seems like when Europe's been doing well, like Europe had those really good weeks the past month or so, and we've just been going down, down, down. But sometimes there's a correlation there where Europe stock market, if they're optimistic, it might make us optimistic. Oil rising for this third session. That did not help any of the long trades today. WTI crude futures rose more than 2% to above 78 per barrel on Wednesday. So it's still going up. We were just at 75 a couple of days ago. Is oil going back to 120 a barrel? How long can Biden keep these gas prices down here in the United States? These are really good questions. And we got to be thinking about this because the inflation could get worse. What we're being told, I think there's a lot of half-truths and a lot of things that just need to be read differently, that you need to really look in between the lines here because things are precarious. I got to say, there's you just sense it in the market too. Like even though we're up, 1.4%, like big deal on the futures. We're actually about to close right now. Big deal. It seems like we get these little rallies into supply and the supply just it just brings these stocks right back down. You can see it on Amazon, PayPal today. PayPal came right back down to its opening price. Took all day, but made absolutely no progress on, really on the daily. Same thing with Square. Square's up a little bit. PayPal's up 0.65% because of the little gap up in the morning. Yeah, we talked about the Canadian inflation. I guess the last thing we'll talk about is silver and gold because that's really the best news here. That's the best story. Silver was up like $1 yesterday. It's at $23.97 right now. I'm glad I added to my stack a couple of days ago. I'll tell you that much. Gold is at $18.14. I've said this and I'll say it again. Gold and silver, whether it's through bullion or jewelry or whatever, you don't want to put everything into it. But having it and keeping it safe and just storing it, you're storing not just the metal, you're storing your financial and economical energy. Energy that you spent, that money that you made, you're putting it into something that will last forever, that will last for eternity. As far as we're concerned, the silver and gold is going to be here. It's been here for thousands of years, and it will be here for thousands of years. So definitely keep that in mind. Again, you don't want to put everything into it, obviously, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I feel much better that I have some of my resources directed into precious metals. If something were to happen, if the fiat system goes crazy, if the debt market explodes, and that's another thing. It's like with the bonds, the debt, How much can they inflate this debt? Where are these billions of dollars coming from that Biden keeps sending overseas? What about all the trillions of dollars in denominated debt throughout the world? Definitely want to have some cash, but things could go awry. Things could go really, really bad, really, really fast. And, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen in crypto and stocks. I'd like to think that the central banks are a little bit more stable than that, but you just never know. So protecting yourself from some sort of economic or financial instability, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. So yeah, that's pretty much the recap, guys. I hope, if you were trading, I hope you did a little bit better than I did. But again, I'm still up like $2,000, $1,900 on the week. I don't think it was any big deal. Probably will trade at least tomorrow. We'll see if I trade on Friday as well. But I think it might be time to, kind of just enjoy the holidays a little bit. Maybe make some videos and stay out of the markets. We'll just see, right? If I'm feeling it, I'm going to trade. If I'm not feeling it, some days I just don't trade. Some days I'm too busy. Some days I got, who knows? There's a lot going on. It's the holiday season. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you're spending it with people that you love. And I hope you're keeping in mind, all of the gifts that we receive from above, from God. Keep that in mind every single day. I have to force myself to practice gratitude because, honestly, I think like today when I was over trading, I just got a little too greedy. I saw I was over 11,000. I thought, maybe I could get to 500 today. And it was just the wrong way to think. So I like I said, I went for a really long run. I prayed a lot today. I've been praying a lot more, and I've been fasting as well going into Holy Christmas here. Fasting is another great way to try to find clarity, at least for me. Between the fasting, the exercise, the cold showers, the prayers, reading my Bible. I've been reading other books as well. You got to get away from this stuff sometimes, and at night just try to consume some good information. So yeah, that's my game plan. Tomorrow I'll be scalping, in and out. Try to get maybe some of what I lost back today. If I could get even half of it back, I think that would be a good day. If I was up a couple $100 tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not upset about the loss. But like I said, I hate losing more than I love winning. And today was a fuck up. I will admit to myself, to my viewers, to the world, and to God, today was a little bit of a fuck up, right? I was blessed first thing in the morning, and I should have taken it, and I didn't. So learn from my mistakes. I'm going to try to learn from my mistakes as well. Follow me on Instagram at Millennial Trades. And if I missed anything that's super important that I didn't talk about because I didn't have a lot of time to do research today, please do let me know in the comment section down below. We've been having some great conversations here and on Instagram. So I appreciate that, guys. And as always, until next time, I'll see you on the next video.